Hello, my name is Anuska and welcome to my channel and welcome to this video this week. So would you like to feel more confident when you speak and have more presence when you speak in front of an audience? If so, this video is for you. So for those of you who don't know me, because I've had lots of new subscribers over the last few weeks, I'm a voice coach, I'm a Jungian life coach, and I'm a performer, I'm a singer-songwriter. And so what that means is when I work with a speaker, a professional on their speaking voice, I'm kind of coming at it from three different angles. Firstly, from the sort of physiological, the technical, the functional aspect of speech, like how do we actually optimally create sound? So all of that, and that's huge, and that's a lot of the science around voice production. Then there's also the psychology, and I use the Jungian psychology with that to look at how the mind is ultimately driving our voice. That's massive as well. And finally, as a performer, I have my performing hat on because I've stood on many stages in front of many audiences over the years, and it's a big part of speaking. And that's what I want to talk about today. This idea of being a performer when you are a speaker. And what I notice when I do my consults with people is often they will say to me, I'm not a performer, I'm not really a public speaker, but I just need to find a way to kind of get through it. I kind of have to do it, don't really enjoy it, not really a natural speaker, definitely not a performer. So they're very, very clear that it's really not anything they want to be associated with. So it's got me thinking, because as I say, I wear all these different hats in my own life. Truthfully, I mean, I've been singing my whole life, and I would say for most of my life, I didn't see myself as a performer either. Even though you could argue as a singer, you are a performer. Most people's definition of a performer would be some kind of performing arts, dancing, singing, playing an instrument, comedy or magic, or something where you're standing on a stage in front of an audience. But I didn't see myself as a performer, and I started to kind of explore this a little bit, and then it helped me to understand where my clients were coming from. And that's what I want to talk about today. But I also want to talk about why you want to actually start to embrace being a performer to be the best speaker you can be. So that's where I want to get to this. So bear with me, because I think you're going to find this really interesting. So first of all, when we think about a performer, and I will talk about this from my own perspective, but often when I talk to clients, and I've thought about it, how I used to think about it too, we think about a performer, we think about they love the limelight, they love being center of attention, it's me, 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 it's all about adore me, love me, look at me. Perhaps they come across as overly confident, maybe outrageous, maybe a bit brash, very flamboyant, often appearing to not really care what people think, and essentially they're putting on a show. So it could come across as inauthentic or fake. And they were certainly some of the things that I used to think. And interestingly, I was watching the documentary last night on Netflix about Liam Gallagher, who was the frontman for Oasis. And he is what I would perceive the stereotypical performer, you know, brash, doesn't care what people think, swears, drinks, you know, everything, really doesn't care at all, really outrageous. And that's what I rejected in myself for so many years, because I thought that is what I have to be a performer. And that doesn't resonate with me. That doesn't connect with me at all. And so often when I delve deeper with clients about, okay, well, tell me what you think a performer looks like, this is some of the stuff that I get back. What I want to offer with you today is there is another way of viewing a performer, because truthfully, all a performer is doing is they are sharing themselves with an audience. They're giving to an audience. So whether you are singing or whether you are speaking, whether you're speaking to 2 people in your team, whether you're speaking to 2,000 people at a conference, it doesn't matter, because you are sharing your voice, you're sharing your ideas, your thoughts, your feelings through speech. I mean, obviously I do it through singing as well, but you are sharing a part of yourself. And it's really about giving. It's not about what you can get from an audience, it's about giving. And I think that's often where there is that resistance to being a performer, because it comes across as quite a selfish thing, versus actually, I believe a true performer is all about giving. and it's not trying to get anything from the audience. And whether you are pitching, whether you're talking to your team, whether you're talking to industry people, it doesn't matter. It's about you sharing yourself through your voice, through your storytelling, however you do it. That is a true performer. And so by that token, a performer can look very, very different. And this is where I had to come from. So yes, you can be that kind of flamboyant, look at me, brash performer. And there are people like that, but you can also be quietly confident. There can be an understated confidence. It doesn't have to be loud, brash, and look at me, which I think is where we get stuck. From my perspective, when we reject being a performer, we're really rejecting sharing ourselves with an audience. We're really rejecting allowing ourselves to really be seen and be heard. And that is the reason why I think it's really important to integrate this idea of being a performer. You decide for you what that looks like for you, but show up authentically, show up in the truest, fullest version of yourself, and being willing to share your voice, share your thoughts, your feelings and your ideas with an audience, because that is what a performer is about. And actually just think back in your own life, like when was the last time you went to watch a show and you thought, wow, that person was incredible. And I bet you they're not always the loudest person. Sometimes there's just a stillness, there's a presence, there's just a quiet confidence. And that is what is captivating, because they just own who they are and they unashamedly share themselves. So I wanted to leave that with you because I think this is such a big thing, particularly in my world, because I straddle both worlds. I work with corporates, I work in the corporate world, but I also work in the sort of performing arts world as well. So I see this kind of, these worlds collide at times. And so it's very, very interesting for me. So I hope that's helped. And so your homework, if you choose to accept it, is to maybe journal about what your views of the performer are, and how can you start to integrate a little bit of that when you speak. And maybe it's just owning your power more when you speak. Maybe it's just being willing to kind of let go of what people think of you and share from your heart, share your thoughts, your feelings and ideas, whether it's one person or whether it's 1,000 people, whether it's online or whether it's on an actual stage. It doesn't matter. It's still an audience and you're still performing. So thank you so much for watching. I'd love to know your comments below. If you like this video, please do like, share and subscribe. If not, I will see you on next week's video.